Hello, this is a guide for beating Ikro the Ice Conjurer in Remnant from the Ashes. Ikro is a very methodical fight that can be very tricky for players to figure out, often leading to their very rapid demise or simply leading them to cheese tactics. However, once the fight is understood, it's generally quite simple. This guide will be done on a character with 150 trait points and gear score 20 on Apocalypse. Being part of the Subjects 29-23 campaign, Ikro is typically fought after the main campaign is finished, so player trait level is expected to be somewhat high. And as always, gear score 20 is the most difficult possible iteration of this boss. Ikro is somewhat of a unique fight because his arena includes a stage hazard besides a hole in the floor. Circling the outer edges of his arena are two storm clouds that drop freezing rain on players. They move clockwise and are always positioned on opposite ends from one another. They are crucial to avoid, as they will deal damage and cause rapid frostbite buildup. You can also take shelter under the wooden roofs that are around the arena to protect yourself from the clouds. The biggest obstacle to defeating Ikro, however, is usually the ball of conjured ice that he summons repeatedly throughout the fight. This large ball acts as a turret that will constantly fire accurate shards of ice at the player. Most players do not know how to deal with the constant projectiles and will often take significant damage trying to destroy it. Around the arena is a collection of wooden fences that will withstand numerous projectiles from the conjured ice before breaking. You should quickly take cover behind these, and fire at the giant ball to quickly shatter it before it can destroy your cover and begin to damage you. Be wary of the circling storms if you are not taking cover from underneath one of the wooden roofs. Ikro's first move is always to summon the conjured ice, so if you want, you can quickly take action by running to the first shrouded point of cover to the left of the arena entrance at the beginning of the fight. You can easily prepare yourself to destroy it from here without too much difficulty. It's also possible to cancel the summoning of another ball if you damage Ikro to 50% HP while he's in the middle of doing so. The rest of Ikro's attacks are very straightforward. He has two attacks to cast an ice projectile at the player. One is obvious, where he will slowly summon a spike of ice into his hands before launching it at the player. The other is a bit more discreet, where his staff will begin to charge up before abruptly flinging a tiny ball of ice. The spike will stagger the player, while the ball of ice can be shrugged off with ease. Both are very easy to dodge. If the player stands close to Ikro, he also has a very telegraphed melee attack where he simply swings his staff in a sweeping motion. This too is very easy to dodge. Once Ikro has only half his health remaining, he will stagger, and then quickly summon a pack of ice rats to attack the player, and shield himself until they are disposed of. The rats are not very dangerous, but they can swarm and trap players who are hiding behind the fences at the edges of the arena, so make sure you take care of them quickly. Interestingly, the rat summons can be cancelled entirely if the player destroys one of the summoned conjured ice balls while Ikro is trying to summon them. This is actually quite hard to pull off in practice, but it's a cool tip nonetheless. In addition to knowing his moveset, Ikro can also be tackled much more easily if the player chooses the right gear. The first of these options that comes to mind is the Hot Shot mod. Ikro and his conjured ice have a noticeable weakness to fire damage, and when combined with the Hot Shot's ability to increase weapon damage by 15%, you'll deal around 32% more damage while the mod is active. The increased damage, plus the 15-second duration, means that it can provide considerable assistance when trying to burst down the conjured ice, and noticeably improve your damage output against the main boss. Another item that really shines in this fight is the Hunter's Halo ring. This ring improves your weapon's ideal range by 6 meters. In other words, it greatly reduces damage fall off at range. Because you'll find yourself hugging the edges of the arena at times in order to take cover from the conjured ice, most of your weapons will normally lose a lot of damage when trying to shoot that far. Hunter's Halo will drastically improve the amount of damage your shots retain, and it helps make medium-range weapons like the beam rifle into top-tier picks for this fight. Speaking of the beam rifle, it really is one of the best damage options for this fight, assuming you pair it with Hunter's Halo. Its constant ramping damage can destroy the conjured ice more effectively than any other weapon. The Ricochet rifle is also a solid choice, as it doesn't require Hunter's Halo to be as effective, and it can damage both the boss and the conjured ice in tandem at great speed. Be sure to take a backup weapon for when the conjured ice is broken though, as the Ricochet rifle's single target damage leaves much to be desired. Since this boss's storm clouds and ice spikes deal frost damage, elemental resistance is also very effective. Using the Spice Root and Pristine Essence consumables can reduce the damage you take from frost by 45% alone, and will make it significantly more difficult for you to become frozen. Items like the Keeper's Ring and Howler's Immunity will improve this further. However, the Conjured Ice does not deal frost damage, so its damage will not be reduced at all. The last item I want to shout out is the Veil of the Black Tear mod. This weapon mod absolutely trivializes the fight by creating a protective bubble around the player that blocks all projectiles. The Conjured Ice can then be safely disposed of without using the fences at all. I don't particularly advise this method since it's incredibly cheesy, but if you are stuck on this boss and just want to pass it, the option is there. Just be aware, it does not prevent damage from the circling storms above. That's all the advice I have today for taking on Ikro the Ice Conjurer. Hopefully this guide will help you if you are having trouble. If you have additional questions, leave a comment and I'll reply to it if I'm able. Thank you for watching.